Hey guys, Ezra here, and welcome back to another movie review. And on today's review, I want to talk about the Ryan Coogler's new movie called Sinners, and I know that I'm, a couple of days late for seeing this movie, but I did hear a lot of like great reviews, and of course, because it stars Michael B. Jordan and directed by Ryan Coogler, I thought that, well, I might as well watch it, because it's a horror movie, and it's about vampires, which I love vampires movie, so I thought it was like, okay, sure. I love the trailer, at least the first one. I did not watch the second trailer, to be honest, but I did watch the first one. I think it was like, oh, it's interesting, and I think a lot of reviews saying that it was like the great movies of this year, and honestly, after seeing it, I pretty much agree with them, because I think this is such a great movies that focuses a lot on, the story and the characters, so for, again, I think what really sells Sinners for me, is because like how much this movie, like depict like the 1932 era, and obviously how all the characters actually really likable and really memorable, because sometimes that movies these days, sometimes they have like so many characters and then none of them are really memorable in a way, but I think Sinners was able to pace this story really, really well from beginning to end, and that's why I think at the end of the day, when the vampire stuff show up in the movie, you pretty much care and remember each characters, and then it kind of makes the action way more memorable, and you feel more tension in the scene itself, And I also love Ryan Coogler's like filmmaking, because this movie is so gorgeous, and I also love the music by Ludwig Göransson, and I think his wife Serena Göransson is also involved in the movie, and I think yeah, it was absolutely fantastic, and obviously you combine this with great directing, the great cinematography, and then the music itself, like it becomes like the movie just becomes way more epic in my opinion, and of course like the character itself, I think every single performance here are absolutely great. Michael B. Jordan plays two twins, which is Smoke and Stack, and I think the way he's able to play these twin brothers and try to differentiate the personality is absolutely amazing, because I think there is some subtlety in his performance, and that's why I absolutely love that, and then obviously the other characters that I think is a highlight is actually a character called Mary, played by Haileesteinfield, and yes, she is absolutely gorgeous in this movie, because it's a vampire movie, so there is some hot, sexy scenes in the movie, and I think Haileesteinfield is playing that role really, really well, and of course, like she has like an important relationship with one of the brothers itself, and I think it's just like, yeah, you understand every single relationship in this movie itself, and obviously the other highlight is actually a character named Sammy, played by Miles Catton, I think, which I think he's a brand new actor, this is his first movie role, and yeah, I think Miles has a really cool voice, and I think he has a really good performance in this movie, and I think Miles Catton is gonna have a big future in the movie industries, like maybe Ryan Coogler will cast him again in his future movie, maybe Black Panther 2 or something, I don't know. But yeah, I think he's also like one of the highlights in this movie, and after that, we got other characters named Annie, played by Wumi Mosaku. She's basically the wife of one of the twin brothers. And I think she has a really important roles. In the latter half of the movies. And we also have then a character named Delta Slim, played by Delroylindo, and I think Delroylindo just having a blast in this role, because every single time he was on screen, he is funny, he is energetic, and he makes my audience laugh, and it is such a fun time every single time his character is on the screen, and then he also had a sincere story in the movie itself, that makes you really, really care for him, and obviously the last one, which is like the bad guy of this movie, named Ramick, played by Jack O'Connell, and Jack O'Connell has, again, just like Delroy Lindo, he has a really fun time playing the lead vampire in the movies, and it is absolutely fantastic, because like, again, usually with the vampires movie, sometimes that the vampires could be scary like Nosferatu, right, or could be sexy like Dracula, or sometimes could be fun and whimsical, And I think Jack O'Connor's vampire is actually fun and whimsical at times, but it's not. But again, thankfully, he's not playing this like this lead vampire role to be goofy, because I think it's really easy to portray this like fun, like whimsical and like cheesy vampires in a way, and then sometimes it could get a little bit cheesier, and I'm really happy that I think Jack O'Connor managed to find this right tone and balance in his performance, that it was like, yeah, it was fun for him to, clearly he's having fun playing this lead vampire, but I feel like there is some elements to him that actually you can take him seriously, and then makes him actually scary to the characters itself, and I really like that balance in tone of his performance itself, and I think it's absolutely fantastic, and of course, like the most part in this movie is about like the characters trying to basically live their lives, and try to open a bar, and then try to build their own business, while dealing with some racism, because obviously during the time, with some of the characters and the bad guys, but and that's like most of the screen time in these movies, because again the vampires barely appears until like the later half of the movies, but I think because like even when the vampires doesn't show up, I think the movie itself was really enjoyable, which I'm pretty sure you guys hear this a lot, but it is what it is, man. Because the movie is really enjoyable even when the vampires wasn't on the screen, because I know that I watched this movie to see a vampire movie, but again, it is so much more than just like a typical vampire movie. It's actually just a really cool drama at times, that you actually really cares about the lives of these characters, and when the vampires show up, that it becomes way more enjoyable, because I think the horror elements in this movie is I think it's great, there is a couple of jump scares, that I think some of them are kind of cheesy, and I'm kind of annoyed by that, but I think there is some also other times where it was like it was okay, it was fine. But I do think that when the vampires do show up, it becomes way more enjoyable, and the action sequences involving the main characters versus the vampires is absolutely fantastic. I love it so much, and there is some I guess there is some twists and turns in this movie that I did not see that coming, but yeah, I won't necessarily promote this as like a big twist in the movies, but I'm just saying that I did not see that coming personally for certain characters, to see what happens to them, and I think is absolutely fantastic, so yeah, great horror movies, it's definitely like one of the best movies in the year, like I definitely remember this movie after finish watching it, because like that doesn't happen a lot, I think this past couple of months, it's been really, it's not a good look for Hollywood, to be honest, because I think the big movies are releasing in summers, in May, June, and July, like all the sequels, and then the superhero movie, from DC and Marvel are releasing in the summers, but I feel like the first half of the year has been like, it's been pretty quiet, there is not enough movies that makes me remember that, oh, this is a good movie and I will watch it again, or like, oh, this is my favorite movies of the year, and I think Sinners is the first movie of this year that I think, wow, okay, this might be my favorite movie, and I think I remembered them after I finished watching it, unlike the previous movies, like for example Captain America Brave New World, like I was enjoying them, I was enjoying watching the movie, but once I exit the theaters, after I finished watching the movie, I just completely forgot about the movie, the entire movie. I just completely forgot about that, but that's not what happened with Sinners. Sinners is actually a really memorable movie, in terms of like the technical aspect about the movies, and obviously the performance, and the music, and the visuals, but I think the way Ryan Coogler was able to handle the vampire lore in the movie is absolutely fantastic, and that's why I think this movie became so much more memorable than it is, because it is way more than just like a typical simple vampire movies, and you actually care about the character, even though this movie is obviously over 2 hours long, I feel like I don't really feel the runtime because I was enjoying myself a lot, so yeah, I definitely recommend you guys to watch Sinners. I'm pretty sure that you guys already probably seen a lot of like reviewers about this movie, and all of them are right in my opinion, that I think this movie is it's just great, and you're having a lot of fun time watching it, you care about the characters, you actually feel excited by the vampires at times, you know. I think it's just really, really fun, you know, in my opinion. So yeah, go watch Sinners, guys, if you haven't already, you know, because it's just a really one of the best horror movie in my opinion, you know. And for those of you who already watched the movie, then let me know your opinions in the comment section below, you know. Like, what do you guys think about the movie, you know? What is your favorite moment about the movie, you know? Like, what is your favorite characters in the movie, you know? So like, let me know all that in the comment section below, you know. And if you enjoyed this video, then make sure, guys, you know, bite and suck that subscribe and like button, guys, you know. Share the videos, the usual stuff, you know. And stay tuned for more movie reviews in the future, guys. And again, I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and I will see you guys in the next one then. Bye.